Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Hope you're doing well. So please go ahead and leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, so it gets these videos out to other people. So by now you know the drill. I'm going to be checking out some clips, and at the end of it, I'll be giving my opinion. So let's just get right into it, guys. Let's see what we got. We are live.
Why is everyone depressed?
I don't know. Maybe it's
The standard education system,
Excessive use of pesticides?
artificial dyes and flavorings,
fear-mongering news,
Living in concrete jungles?
cell tower radiation,
being stuck in the rat race,
Chemicals in the tap?
superficial connection,
Hollywood.
The boss babe psyop?
and it's all happening indoors under flickering blue light.
It's time to get back to nature.
And back to community.
Well, it's a good place to start, that's for sure.
Okay, I don't know who needs to hear this, but you need to wake the fuck up. We are living in a matrix, and unfortunately the way this matrix is designed, it's not in our best interest. Look around you. Almost everything is poisoned right now. Our food supply, like, no, Bill, we don't want to eat your fucking Beyond Meat. Come on. But apart from that, it's sprayed with stuff we don't want. We're getting blasted by electromagnetic frequencies. There's stuff being sprayed in the sky. The water's got fluoride and all these other chemicals in it. Like, it's all poison. We all think that it's normal right now, but it's not. And here's the thing, and this might piss you off, but we have created all of this. Why? We are actually the creators of this reality. We're creating all of this. However, we've been cleverly programmed into creating this reality through mainstream education, mainstream medical system, through music, through television. We've all been programmed to broadcast this frequency, and all of a sudden we think that cancer is just a part of aging. No, it's fucking not. Cancer's not normal at all. It's because there's poison everywhere. Now, I know this all sounds negative, but here's the caveat. Just like we've been programmed to create all of this, we can reprogram ourselves and unify together and create a lasting change. If we can unify on this one topic and decide we don't want this anymore, we don't want chemicals in our food, we don't want chemicals in our water, we want real regenerative farming, we want to be outside, we don't want to get told that we need to put on toxic creams to protect ourselves from the sun, which is the creator of all life here. We don't want any of that. If we can unify together on this, we can enter into a new world of health, of prosperity, of joy, like we're supposed to be doing. So let's do that. Let's create a new matrix that's in harmony with all of us.
You know, and I feel like we're on the cusp of this happening, but we are getting so much pushback from the powers that be.
The world's youngest farmer. He's 2. Because his legs are not yet long enough to match his enthusiasm, he travels about the family's 13 acres on his own 3-horsepower tractor. It's steered by 2 handles, one carrying the throttle, the other the clutch, and it's all quite legal because the machine is classified as a garden tractor. Actually, Andrew became a farmer at birth because his grandfather made him a present of 2 lambs. The proceeds of their sale brought the first of his own hens, and today 90 of those here belong to him. One of his daily chores is, of course, to feed them, collect the eggs, and put them in boxes ready for the packing station.
I love to see this.
Andrew does all this because he likes it, and in every other way, he's a typical little boy. You see what we mean?
Yeah, that kid is living with more purpose than 80% of us.
My daughter will never go to school. She was born in 2023. If she followed the traditional path, she'd finish high school in 2040, she'd finish university around 2045. Schools aren't even teaching what's relevant in 2025, let alone 2045. The entire system was designed in the 1800s to produce factory workers, and yet no one stops to ask if school actually prepares kids for the real world. We just kind of assume it does because that's what we've been told. The fact that saying my daughter won't go to school is controversial only proves how deeply conditioned we are. The modern world rewards independent thinking, real-world problem solving, and adaptability, none of which comes from memorizing textbooks. in a system that was designed 200 years ago. She won't go to school because we value education too much. She'll learn the fundamentals of reading, writing, maths from tutors, but she'll really grow from solving real-world problems, being around great people, experiencing life beyond the classroom. To be clear, school isn't just a waste of time, it's worse than that. It conditions kids for a world that no longer exists, setting them back before they've even started.
And let's not forget the indoctrination. That's the biggest part of it.
Some parents do everything in their power to mitigate screen harms at home, but then their children go to school and they experience hours of screen time in the guise of educational technology, or ed-tech. Whether that's in the form of iPads and Alexa voice assistants for nursery school children, learning systems like PowerSchool in primary school, or Google Classroom on secondary school devices, who has proven that this deluge of screen education is what's best for our children? No one has. If we step back and view this state of affairs through a compassionate lens, it's fairly understandable. Let's wave aside the fact that only 7% of UK edtech companies have conducted randomized controlled trials, and just 12% have used third-party certification. Let's put these pesky facts aside. At the beginning, these products seemed futuristically exciting. Well-intentioned schools spent fortunes buying and implementing the latest software and trained their teachers in how to use it. And some of the tools, like no more marking, have been helpful for teachers. But now we have better data on how tech is impacting pupils, so we must press pause and, in many cases, rewind. The Karolinska Institute in Sweden recently published research concluding that there's clear scientific evidence that tools impair rather than enhance learning. Sweden has taken note and been the first country to kick tech out of the classroom, reinvesting in books, paper, and pens. They had the courage to admit that EdTech was a failed experiment. Bill Gates himself said that devices have a lousy record in the classroom. Mark Zuckerberg went to a tech-free school in Boston. Steve Jobs didn't let his own children use iPads. UNESCO says moderation should be the key word relating to classroom tech use. The OECD found that most EdTech has not delivered the academic benefits once promised, and that students who use computers very frequently at school do a lot worse in most learning outcomes. Global test scores in maths, science, and reading are plummeting. I've personally spoken to teachers in British state schools who've acknowledged that classroom tech has hampered the progress of many of their pupils, and the huge boom in tutoring among private school children points to the fact that they're not learning well in school either. So why are we getting so overexcited about EdTech here in Britain? Why are we outsourcing executive function skills to a computer? Why are we allowing exam boards to take every subject online by 2030? All the emerging research should generate a pulling up of the drawbridge rather than the open-armed embrace that we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mess and we gotta fix it.
Make it make sense. Deli cheese in a plastic bag, bread in a plastic bag, almond milk in a plastic jug, blueberries in a plastic carton, paper towels in a plastic wrap, peppers in plastic, plastic bags for your produce, meat wrapped in plastic. But they won't give you a plastic bag or a brown bag, unless if you pay for it, of course, because we're saving the environment.
Yeah.
Anybody explain that?
Yeah, let's not forget the drink boxes with cardboard straws in plastic wrappers.
In 1985, tobacco giant R.J. Reynolds bought Nabisco Foods. Tobacco pioneer Philip Morris bought General Foods, and 3 years later, Kraft Foods, making them the largest food producer in North America, and leaving the business of food in the capable hands of the same corporations who helped addict us to tobacco. Using the same tactics they used to promote tobacco, food companies set about peddling the entire planet a diet of processed goods, loaded with chemicals and additives, masquerading as food. This new machine operates with specific targets in mind, like addicting consumers, without them knowing it.
Yeah, and if you've ever tried to get off sugar, you'll know what I mean.
A better world also means a healthier world. And vaccination is our best chance to do this. Vaccines have saved millions of lives in the past 50 years. But right now, millions of children are still at risk. They need vaccines. So we must continue to support vaccination around the world. And today, I am pleased to pledge $290 million for Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance.
Listen to the fucking
Each child
retards
should be
cheering for this.
protected. And more will come. Together with Gavi, we have the goal to vaccinate 500 million children by 2030. Europe will do its fair share. You can count on us, my friends.
Absolutely fucking crazy.
What if I told you that a vaccine was secretly laced with a hormone to cause infertility was given to hundreds of thousands of women and girls without their knowledge? What if I told you that a vaccine that was banned in the West for killing girls was pushed on African girls, making them 10 times more likely to die? And what if I told you that the man behind all of this, funding it, promoting it, has just had his legal immunity stripped in Kenya? This isn't a conspiracy theory. This did happen, and the evidence is undeniable. Bill Gates, through the WHO, has funded programs that have been exposed as dangerous, unethical, and deadly. And it's time the world started asking some very serious questions. In 2013, the World Health Organization launched a neonatal tetanus campaign in Kenya, claiming to protect newborns from deadly infections. But doctors started noticing something very strange. Many women in this vaccination campaign could no longer carry a pregnancy to term. Suspicious, these doctors took these vials and took them for testing in independent labs. The vaccines contained HCG hormones, a hormone vital in pregnancy, chemically bonded to the tetanus vaccine. These vaccines weren't just about tetanus. So what were they for?
We cannot afford to trust WHO anymore, Your Excellency. In 2014-2015, WHO brought tetanus eradication campaign in our country. The vaccine that was used is a different type of a tetanus vaccine that is a fertility regulating vaccine, where they take tetanus and combine it with a hormone called human chorionic gonadotropin that supports pregnancy. And when you inject a woman with that vaccine, she produces antibodies against that hormone and therefore is rendered sterile. We are noticing an increase in the number of infertility cases among young couples who you examine and they are normal but cannot get children, or couples who are losing 3, 4, 5 pregnancies before they can carry any pregnancy to term. We were able to expose this, and we have even published a paper that is available.
But it doesn't stop there. Let's talk more about the DTP vaccine, the world's most popular vaccine thanks to Bill Gates and the WHO. In the 1980s, the vaccine was banned in the United States and Europe after studies showed it caused brain damage and even death. While it was replaced with a safer version in these countries, the older, deadlier versions were still being distributed to children in Africa.
Of course they were.
When Danish scientists studied more than 30 years of vaccination records in Africa, they found a chilling discovery. Girls who received the DTP vaccine were 10 times more likely to die than children that were unvaccinated. But these girls weren't dying from tetanus, diphtheria, or pertussis. They were dying from anemia, pneumonia, dysentery, and the diseases that the vaccine left them more vulnerable to. This isn't just about bad science. It's a pattern of unethical experiments on vulnerable populations. Vaccines that were deemed too dangerous for the West, pushed in Africa under the guise of philanthropy. And who's funding this? Bill Gates, the same man whose foundation controls much of the World Health Organization's budget. The same man who just lost his immunity for prosecution in Kenya. Knowledge is power, and this is why we must question the narrative, the motives, and demand accountability. Bill Gates and the WHO must answer for these actions, and we, the people, must stand together for transparency and justice. If you believe the world needs to know the truth, share this video and let's make this conversation so it can't be silenced.
You know, that's all we can do, because a weakened, indoctrinated population is much easier to control.
In a rather stunning example of how pandemic policies can spiral into financial chaos, Kingston-based Dr. Elaine Ma has been ordered to repay over $600,000 in payments made by the Ontario government for administering COVID-19 vaccinations. That's a lot of money for administering vaccines, though, no? In December 2021, Dr. Ma set up multiple mass vaccination clinics, injecting thousands of people every day. To administer the vaccines, she enlisted undergraduate medical student volunteers, a decision that ultimately invalidated her claims under the Ontario government's rules. So, here's how it worked. Ontario's COVID-19 vaccine program paid doctors $13 per shot through its fee-for-service model. An additional $5.60 could be claimed if the visit was solely for vaccination. Dr. Ma, eager to make that money, organized large-scale operations outside her licensed practice. However, Ontario rules stipulated two crucial conditions. Vaccine administrators had to be the doctor's employees, and the vaccinations had to occur at the doctor's registered office. Neither was true in Dr. Ma's case. Now, in addition to her blatant disregard for the rules to make that money, here's what I want to highlight. The financial incentives for COVID vaccines at $18.60 per shot were more than double what doctors typically receive for administering other vaccines like flu shots or those in the childhood schedule. So while one could argue that the program was designed to speed up vaccinations, it ended up fostering an environment rife with financial complications, raising critical questions about the balance between incentivizing rapid vaccination and ensuring proper patient care and informed consent. I mean, how are undergraduate medical student volunteers focused on speed and volume providing informed consent? Anyway, this is just one doctor who's now been forced to repay $600,000, which doesn't even include what she gets to keep. At scale, according to the national government's own figures, over 100 million doses were administered in Canada. By this math, we're talking about billions of dollars in government funding that was up for grabs. The government practically created a Wild West gold rush scenario for physicians, where financial incentives prioritized speed and volume over strict regulatory compliance, all for a vaccine that the NIH itself now admits was rushed, risky, and ineffective. So my question is, how can anyone be expected to trust our institutions when it's so clear that the government's financial incentives completely overshadowed the proper delivery of healthcare, specifically for a product that was rushed, risky, and ineffective?
Yeah, 100 million doses in a population of 40 million.
Former State Senator Nancy Schaefer and her husband Bruce were found dead today.
I'm convinced without a shadow of a doubt that the parents across this country need to be warned of the dangers of the Child Protective Services nationwide.
Tonight, GBI crime scene investigators are at her Northeast Georgia home.
Department of Child Protective Services has become a protected empire.
They're searching for clues that might tell them
it's built on taking children and separating families.
What led to the sudden and violent deaths of Miss Schaefer and her husband?
A family is going to have to be destroyed in order for the one world government to completely develop.
Preliminarily looks to be a murder-suicide.
Children are being taken away from their parents in a ruthless kind of behavior.
How do you tame Child Protective Services? It may be only by closing it completely and starting over at the beginning with pro-family values.
Yeah, it's a dark, dark rabbit hole, that one.
You ever wondered why so many children go missing every year? And how anybody that tries to talk about it suddenly gets silenced? Because the truth is, we're dealing with a massive organized operation, one that runs deeper than most people can even comprehend. You see, every year, hundreds and thousands of children vanish without a trace. Last year, the UN reported nearly 70,000 victims of human trafficking just 2022 alone, and children made up nearly 40% of them. And that's just what's officially recorded. The real numbers? They're likely much, much higher. And here's the part they don't want you to know. This isn't just random. It's not just kids running away or getting lost. There's a system in place designed to exploit, traffic, and silence these children. And how they do it, the methods are horrifyingly strategic. Some are abducted outright, snatched off the streets in broad daylight. Others, they're lured in with false promises, better opportunities, and a way out of poverty. And in many cases, these children are sold by people they trust, sometimes even their own family members. They target the most vulnerable, kids in poverty, refugees, children in unstable homes, because they know no one's going to go looking for them. Even when someone does, the system protects the traffickers, not the victims. So ask yourself, why is this happening? What's their endgame? Many assume it's just about money. After all, human trafficking is a $150 billion industry, But that's only just a part of it. Many of these children are used for more than just labor or exploitation. Some are sold into underground networks for rituals and experiments that most people dismiss as conspiracy theories, even when the evidence is right in front of them. And if you think this is all just speculation, let's talk about the whistleblowers, people who worked inside these systems who saw it firsthand. Like Catherine Bolkovac, a former police officer who were exposed to a human trafficking ring connected to UN peacekeepers. Her story was turned into a movie called The Whistleblower, and the things she revealed, chilling. Or Tim Ballard, who founded Operation Underground Railroad to rescue children from trafficking. His story was turned into The Sound of Freedom, a movie that the media desperately tried to discredit. But let me ask you something. Why would they work so hard to suppress this? Sometimes the truth's hidden in plain sight. Movies like I Am Jane Doe exposed how major websites were used for trafficking and the legal battles that followed. Even movies like Divergent and The Hunger Games give us a glimpse into how society is divided, controlled, and conditioned to accept a reality that serves the elites. Hollywood will often sprinkle in the truth because in their eyes, if they show us what they're doing, it's like we consented. And most people, they just ignore it. Since the pandemic alone, human trafficking has skyrocketed. More conflicts, more disasters, more vulnerable children with nowhere to go. And guys, it's only just getting worse. If we don't start asking the right questions, this will keep happening. But the second we wake up, the second we start exposing these systems,
it will come crumbling down, but we have a long road to hoe ahead of us.
If you want to take over a planet, okay, if you want to completely take over a planet, the first thing that you have to do is you have to take out the alpha males or the strong males from the planet. Because the strong alpha males protect the divine feminine. Through television and films, how they are feminizing men more and more and more. You'll see women dressed up, men dressed up in female clothes. The cane is a phallus or male energy. The two circles on either side are to control the male energy. This is not to empower the female in any way. This is a trick to make it look like that it's empowering the female, when in fact it is taking away the protection from the female. The feminism movement that happened in the 60s was to destroy the family unit from the inside out.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. It's not that women aren't capable, but
do you regard black magic as being purely fictitious, or is there some truth in it?
Some truth. 100% truth. There is nothing fictitious about black magic, in any way whatever. It is a fact. It is a fact which has existed for several thousand years. I mean, when we talk about black magic, we are talking about Satanism, necromancy, alchemy, witchcraft, the worship of Satan, the worship of dark forces, whether it's voodoo, juju, whether it's something practiced in the Western world or the Eastern world, whether it's easily defined or not easily defined, the order of the left-hand path, the following of this, the following of that. It is basically the worship of the force of evil as embodied by Satan, Lucifer, the princes of darkness, and their legions, and so on. In a very simple sense, of course, it goes much more deeply than that. It is a fact. It is a desperately dangerous fact. It does exist. It exists around us today. Satanic ceremonies will be happening in Britain tonight. Very definitely. Ask any priest, ask any member of the forces of law and order, and they will tell you that Satanism as such, it's there, and it has been for thousands of years.
100%. I mean, they got churches. Well, that's the most dystopian sound you're gonna likely hear today. Look at this. Now imagine these are fucking weaponized. Yeah, it's a twisted world that we're living in, guys. So, you know, when we watch the type of content that I put out, whether you're watching other shows, whether you're watching other channels that are like mine, maybe it's Barry Stepp or something like that, when you indulge in this type of content, it is very easy to become blackpilled. Now, I've stated that by and large, I'm numb, dead inside, not very happy anymore. But I'm not black-pilled, okay? It's very important for me to find the lighter side of life and still try to indulge in it. And that's partly the reason I created 80 After Dark. 80 After Dark is a palate cleanser. It's a place to take a breather. It's a place to remind us that there is still good in this world. I think we've just lost our way, you know, and it's really hard to stay motivated too when somebody you know becomes black-pilled, where they go down that rabbit hole and they go down it alone and they just don't have anyone to kind of keep them in check, and they never really come up for air, you know? If you don't know what that means, it's you've lost all hope. You've given up. It's, what's the point? We're never gonna fix this. It's that kind of person, which, in my opinion, being black-pilled is just as bad as being extreme on the other side, because it doesn't help anybody, okay? Yeah, you can look around and you can understand that things are bad. Things are really bad, okay? But you can choose to give up and just try to pull everyone down with you, or you can try your best to try to improve the situation. So I'm sure we've all dealt with somebody who is completely black-pilled, and I think you know what I mean. It's annoying, to be honest with you. So if you're that person, please save your comments for somewhere else, okay? Don't drop them in here. I don't want to hear it. Nobody else wants to hear it. We're here because we are looking for solutions, not more problems, okay? But anyways, that's what I got today, guys. Thanks a lot for coming and checking out these clips and hanging out. And I guess I'll see you in the next one. But until then, 80 Canadian, signing off.